Company is the five-time Tony Award-winning musical that won Best Revival of a Musical. The show is now on tour and currently in Chicago through November 12th. Christopher DeAngelis here is a Chicagoland native in the production, dance captain, and understudy. Thank you so much for your time today.
For having me.
We got to see you last night for opening night, and you got to take on the role of Larry.
Thankfully, I had noticed that I was going on, so it wasn't sprung up on me. I've had a couple days to prepare, and we have a really brilliant cast. So everybody was very good at helping me along the way and taking me on the journey with them that they've been doing night after night. It's very different rehearsing it and then getting up there and actually being inside the boxes and going through that whole process. It sounds very different with the orchestra. So there were lots of little hurdles as the night went on, trying to go through it all. We've obviously.
But you did a fantastic job. You did a fantastic job.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun, but also out of body at the same time. Things would happen, and I'm like, "Oh, you know what that is? What are you doing? Get back over here!" little glitches here and there, but it was really enjoyable to be up there and get to tell the story finally.
Is that rare to get a couple of days notice, or is that usually like how you'll get as far as being an understudy on a show?
It can all depend. Like, we always know when somebody's going on vacation or if they have a personal day coming up because they have a family thing that they need to attend to. But we've been fortunate so far that we haven't had any sickness or injury or anything like that, knock on wood. So nobody's been thrown up there yet. I was the first to go on that of our group of understudies.
Let's talk a little bit about the show. The show first came out in 1970. And it feels just as relevant now as it was back when it first came out. Talk a little bit about the story, what we see, especially in this new revival version.
Okay, well, in this revival version, we have some gender swapping going on. So they decided to make Bobby a female, which these days I'm a female at 35, trying to negotiate her life and what she wants out of it, and dealing with a bunch of her married friends who are all pressuring her to get married. She would like to have someone, and she hasn't been able to find that right person. So she's dealing with the pressures of society around her. She's trying to carve out her own path and be true to herself, but she's discovering herself and what she needs by looking at the marriages of all of her friends. Very interesting. I think anybody who comes and watches this, every couple, there is something for everyone to see. They will see themselves represented on that stage. In every relationship that there is something that one of us has.
Oh, exactly. And also, I think probably viewers under 35 view that age something different versus at being over 35 and you see yourself at that age.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I do believe that Brittany Coleman, who plays Bobby, has given her a great life and representation. She is so lovely and charming, and you just want her to be happy the whole time and find what she needs.
Especially like 35, I'm sure in 1970 felt like 60, the way we view 60 now. It's a very different version. I guess let's talk a little bit about that. The way that we looked at 35 in the original production versus 35 now.
Yeah, I mean, it's very different. That's part of the reason changing Bobby to a female became more important. A 35-year-old male today, not married, is not a big deal. A woman at 35 not married can start to be a big deal. There's a clock going, and there is still the constant pressure for a girl to be married or a woman to be married. There are those pressures, and even Bobby says, well, I needed to get my business going and get started and have a little fun. And then her friends comment, well, you've been doing that. So let's move to the next step.
Let's talk a little bit about Stephen Sondheim's passing, especially, since this has so much interest in his work, and we have Into the Woods, Barely We Roll Along. There's an unfinished book that is now currently in off Broadway. Yes. We have Company, Sweeney Todd. I mean, there's so many different productions, and talk a little bit about being part of this, continuing in his legacy.
It's honestly a joy for me. It's something I've always wanted to do. I've never done a Sondheim show since college. So I come from the world of jukebox theater, music theater. So to be in this show, to be doing a Sondheim show is incredible. The music is so difficult, and the challenge to bring it to life and make it make sense and be able to tell the stories that he's telling through his lyrics, because he likes to mess with your head and change the words up constantly, and it's really fun to delve into it and break it apart and put it back together. And I think part of his genius is all this being written so long ago still works perfectly and still makes sense.
Marianne, 'cause I love her work. Curious Incident, War Horse, Angels in America, which I all got to see in New York. I mean, and just the way that she uses neon and the way that she uses space to tell the story. I mean, it's so incredible. And I was just fascinated with the set the entire time I was watching the show.
Yes. Bunny Christie's set is ridiculous. You do feel like you are in New York apartments. You are squashed in. Everybody's making the best of their living situation. And it just has that feeling of everything just kind of being like on you, like you are being viewed like a little insect in a frame. It's amazing seeing what she did. We did get to work with her. She did come over a few times and work with the principals on the show and kind of guide them on the storyline that she had come up with and her thoughts of Bobby going through this little Alice through the Looking Glass type adventure. And it was very much about just staying true to who these people are, and building those relationships based on who is actually playing the characters. Things did morph from how they were done on Broadway based on the actors that we have here. And that's really something special. A lot of people, they want to do a cookie cutter version, and they were very much against that. And they were able to develop new relationships with the actors who were there now. And you believe these people are married to each other.
Now you can go ahead and check them out in company. The show is at the Cadillac Palace Theater through November 12th, the BroadwayInChicago.com for tickets. And thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me. You have a great day.
You too.